This week on Christian World News, President Trump moves to protect religious liberty here in America. While Christians are celebrating, some say it doesn't go far enough.
Plus, you're looking at a little miracle. When doctors found a tumor in this little boy's mouth, his parents began crying out to God. See how he answered those prayers in an amazing way.
And in the heart of the Middle East, a new church is rising up with the support of the Muslim royal family that governs the nation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Christian World News. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. President Trump says the government has too often used its power against people of faith. He says that has to stop. Trump signed an executive order on religious freedom. Many evangelical leaders praise the president's action, but others say it doesn't go far enough. CBN News White House correspondent Jennifer Wishon brings us the story from Washington.
America's freedoms come from God. That was part of President Trump's message to faith leaders gathered in the Rose Garden of the White House for a first-of-its-kind kickoff to the National Day of Prayer.
Our president is a believer. He loves his family and he loves his country with an unshakable faith in God and the American people.
The president marked the occasion by signing an executive order to protect religious liberty.
We will not allow people of faith to be targeted, bullied, or silenced anymore.
The order does three things. It states it's the policy of the executive branch to vigorously enforce federal law's robust protections for religious freedom. It essentially orders the IRS to stop enforcing the Johnson Amendment, which forbids churches and other nonprofits from supporting and endorsing candidates. And it protects the conscience of employers who don't want to provide contraception and abortion-inducing drugs on their insurance plans that Obamacare mandated. Employers like the Little Sisters of the Poor who sued the Obama administration.
We are giving our churches their voices back.
Many evangelical leaders who pushed Trump to sign an executive order call the president's actions an important first step. However, the order is light on details, falls short of what many had hoped for, and some leaders admit they're disappointed. The order leaves out workplace protections for Americans who wish to follow their conscience at work, like a baker who has a religious objection to making a cake for a gay wedding. It also fails to mention discrimination against people of faith in the military. I encourage the administration to immediately take concrete steps to ensure that people of faith remain free to live out their faith, writes Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. And the Alliance Defending Freedom writes, we encourage the president to see his campaign promise through to completion. But other leaders say the order combats the hostility Christians have been facing.
Quite frankly, I'm not sure there's enough paper in Washington, D.C. To contain all of the attacks that were launched on religious freedom under the Obama administration.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, the White House.
Thanks, Jennifer. David Brody is CBN's chief political correspondent. He joins us now from our bureau in the nation's capital. David, some religious leaders are saying this is a good first step, but more needs to be done. So from their perspective, what was lacking in this order?
Well, there were a couple of things. First of all, there was an expectation that there would be some language in there about military chaplains being protected as it relates to faith speech. That wasn't in there. And once again, when I say that wasn't in there, we're talking about specific language that wasn't in there. We can talk more about maybe it could be eventually down the road. There's that angle to it as well. But then, of course, it seems like the White House has basically punted the whole LGBT controversial portion of this, and that's the big part of it. In other words, there was no specific language at all that said, folks, people of faith will not be discriminated against, whether it be in the workplace or in other places around this country, as we've seen so time and time again around this around the country.
And David, speak to that very point. Was there a backlash? Were they fearing a backlash from the LGBT community?
Well, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, George, to figure out, look, at some point, how much water can be in the boat before it sinks. And look, I mean, the reality is that there have been plenty of court issues with this White House as it relates to some of these executive orders. And we know about the what they call the travel ban and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I think there was a sense that they didn't want to take that on, at least for now. But there are certain things in this executive order, which we can talk more thoroughly about, that do give evangelicals hope for the future, because the Attorney General and HHS, the head of the HHS, Tom Price, could indeed issue many new rules and guidelines that would help people of faith.
David, what can the president do more, and will he do it?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think Jennifer made a really good point that this is a first step, and that's what many evangelical leaders are saying, because I just put up a blog on the Brody file, by the way, a little narcissistic plug. What else is new for me, I guess, George? But look, this was the first step, but the second step is what's coming from the Attorney General's office, from HHS. In other words, there's a lot of new guidelines, and if you notice some of the language, it says the Attorney General's office will issue guidance as it relates to some of these policies, or at least procedures. And so we'll wait and see what exactly that is, but there is a sense within the evangelical community that some of that heavy-hitting language that was missing in the executive order will actually come up in many of these guidelines.
David, there was one issue during the campaign that the president brought up quite often. It's the so-called Johnson Amendment. It was not part of this executive order. Why?
Well, right. Well, a couple of things. First of all, the Johnson Amendment is law. And if it's a law, let me check. That's right. Back to civics class. You got to repeal it. And you got to repeal it through Congress. It can't be repealed through an executive order. Now, what the president did do is basically boldly say that he's going to direct the IRS to, in essence, stay away from pastors and the pulpit, and say, hey, look, if they want to have some political speech inside their churches, and they won't even want to endorse candidates, knock yourself out. You can do it. And he's basically telling the IRS to stay away. So, you know, it's a somewhat symbolic victory, but it's not a repeal of the Johnson Amendment. I think that's a very important point to point out.
Okay, folks, David, our one and only David Brody, who has an incredible blog called The Brody File. You can go to it at cbnnews.com. David, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Have a great weekend, sir.
Always a pleasure, George. Thanks.
Welcome.
Around the world, countless Christians are persecuted and even killed for their faith every year. Franklin Graham is committed to doing something about it by hosting the first ever World Summit in defense of persecuted Christians. It's happening in Washington, D.C., May 10th through 13th. It will bring together more than 600 people from 130 countries. The goal is to raise global awareness and show solidarity with persecuted Christians.
One programming note, Christian World News will be at the summit. We'll have daily coverage, including interviews with global church leaders, as well as the man who put it all together, Mr. Franklin Graham. We'll also have a special Christian World News program from the summit. See it all at our CBN News Facebook page and cbnnews.com.
Coming up, the miracle baby who beat cancer, and it's all because of the prayers of his parents and another couple thousands of miles away.
Folks, there's a power beyond the realm of human intellect.
In Pat Robertson's new DVD, Miracles, learn how you can experience God's power in your life.
You've said that there are 3 components to seeing miracles. What do you mean by that?
A power that can overcome any problem.
This is the normal inheritance of the children of God.
And see inspirational true stories of miracles.
Meet the real people who have come face to face with that power.
Medicine cannot explain this.
I felt the strength of God come.
I am being healed. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your copy of Miracles. Experience God's power in your life.
I felt God saying, I am in complete control.
This was a dead man. Now he's alive.
It's definitely a miracle.
Miracles. Experience God's power in your life.
Available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
And welcome back to Christian World News. The world's most populous nation is facing an abandoned baby crisis. More parents in China are walking away from children born with physical disabilities.
So sad. Meng-Fei Li shares the story of one Chinese couple that saved a child and called on God to do a miracle.
For 7 years, Fu Chunzhi and his wife Xiaoli tried to conceive a child. Finally, in 2011, they decided to adopt an abandoned baby. The Christian couple was thrilled when they found the perfect baby at a local orphanage.
As soon as we got the phone call, we were so happy. My wife and I couldn't wait to see this baby. We've been waiting for this day forever.
In the midst of their happiness, they received disappointing news. The baby that they thought had been perfectly and wonderfully made was born with a small tumor in his mouth and was not able to eat and drink.
We didn't know what to do. We wanted to keep the baby. Meanwhile, the cost for the surgery was so expensive. We were heartbroken. We lost hope and direction.
These church members went through a tough time. They didn't ask for anything except for prayers and guidance. So I invited all Christians to pray for a miracle.
Half a world away, Americans Audrey and Rob Post heard of the Chinese family's challenge. A church member shared the story and asked them to pray. The couple remained faithful, believing God would answer their prayers.
My husband and I always know the Lord can do miracles. Jesus answered prayers many times in our life, and we believe that nothing is too difficult for the Lord.
Other Christians also prayed for the Chinese couple and their baby. As time went by, although nothing changed, they still believed that God could work a miracle.
God's favor will show up when we are down to nothing. Just because they didn't see a way, it certainly didn't mean God was not working behind the scenes. I told the couple to remain faithful and patient.
Amazingly, one day, Zhi and Xiaoli saw the baby just spit something out of his mouth. They gave it a closer look and discovered that it was the tumor that had been lodged in his mouth. The couple was brought in tears.
It's a miracle. Only Jesus could do such an unthinkable miracle. When all Christians come and pray together, we can move mountains.
Not only did God give an abandoned child a new home, but he also performed a life-changing miracle for the entire Chinese family. Meng-Fei Li, CBN News.
Terrific. How cute is that
Beautiful
baby?
Story. Yeah.
Love that. Well, the Bible is the best-selling book worldwide with more than 5 billion copies printed. In today's digital world, many people spend more time reading Facebook posts, though, than the Bible.
This is true. Well, now some Bible lovers are staging a rare international exhibit that stirs interest and reverence for this holy book. Lucille Talusan has the story from Hong Kong.
Hong Kong St. Andrew's Church received a 200-year-old gift from Christians Ken and Barbara Larson, a rare Torah scroll. This token was given in appreciation for allowing their main sanctuary to be a venue of the inspired exhibit. The touring exhibit is a display of ancient artifacts, manuscripts, and truths about the Bible's history and its preservation. The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible.
Moses is credited with the first Torah written. From that point until now, the scribes in Jewish life would copy the Torah and make a new one. It was meticulous. They had to make sure there were no mistakes, no errors. The Torah is foundational for our theology, for our understanding of who God is, and for the plan of redemption that He has placed for all of us.
One of the key features in the exhibit is this 500-year-old Torah scroll.
It was buried by a rabbi during the time of Hitler when Torahs were being burned. Now this sums up everything about this exhibit, that God's Word is indestructible, and being able to see it today and touch it is a miracle that empowers the Christian faith.
Former agnostic Josh McDowell tried to disprove the Bible, but he became a Christian after he discovered evidence proving its authenticity. Today, McDowell is a foremost apologist for the Christian faith, and he has written several best-selling books on biblical truths. He believes exhibits like Inspired are needed in today's technologically driven world.
With the internet and the way people live today, we've gotten away from our roots. We've gotten away from history, from tradition. And what exhibits like here at Inspired does, it gives people a sense of why they believe the Bible is true. When you see the precautions they took in copying it and everything, it builds up your faith. With millennials and younger, they're looking for something solid. They're looking for something they can put their hands on. Physical, historical evidence that the Bible is true.
Israel Consul General for Hong Kong, Sagi Carney, takes pride at how Jews contributed to the preservation and spread of the Old Testament.
You could see the evidence that there were Jews that were commuting along the Silk Road from the ancient world all the way to China, settling down in China, bringing the Bible into China.
The Inspired exhibit is set to travel to other nations in the fall, in hopes of instilling in people's hearts a deeper appreciation and understanding of the Bible and its core message of redemption. Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Hong Kong.
Thanks, Lucille. Up next, we talk to a man who's building the newest church in the Middle East. You won't believe who's supporting it.
Pat Robertson's new DVD, Miracles.
I knew it was God.
Meet real people who have experienced God's life-saving power.
God was taking care of us.
You'll discover the 3 components of miracles, the power of your words, and the abundant kindness and mercy God has for you.
Remember to keep on asking, keep on seeking, and you will receive.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Millions of Muslims around the world will pray and fast during Ramadan this month, and millions of Christians will join them. It's called the 30 Days of Prayer for the Muslim World, and it coincides with the Muslim holiday. From May 26th to June 25th, millions of believers will pray that Muslims will discover Jesus. Organizers say it's all about praying for, not against Muslims. And you can find out more about the 30 Days of Prayer on our website. Just go to cbnnews.com.
One of the largest Anglican churches is being built in the heart of the Middle East. Soon, All Saints Anglican Church will open the doors to its new facility being built in Abu Dhabi. capital of the United Arab Emirates. The new church building will seat up to 4,200 worshippers. The Anglican Church's senior chaplain is Reverend Andy Thompson. Earlier, I spoke with him via Skype from Abu Dhabi. A church being built in an overwhelmingly Muslim nation. Reverend, how is this even possible?
All around us, neighboring countries are known for their hardline Islamic position. For example, in Iran and in Saudi Arabia, the church has an incredibly difficult time there. But here in the United Arab Emirates, we have a tolerant climate where there are many churches here, and the All Saints Masafa Church is the latest one to be built.
My understanding is the government is in fact openly encouraging Christians to practice their faith, right?
The United Arab Emirates government gives land to the churches. They welcome us into government-initiated interfaith dialogue. They come along to special events. And it's just great to have such a close and working relationship with the Muslim authorities here at the highest level.
You talked a little bit about the difference in UAE, but what specifically is it? I mean, are they just more tolerant?
Well, I think the history of the United Arab Emirates, it has a long history of international trading, through maritime trading with the pearl industry. There's been a long history of trading with India and with Iran and with Iraq, where they've met people of very different religions and faiths over the centuries. So there's already been a long-established culture and tradition where tolerance has been necessary for successful trading. But in addition to that, most of the Emirati leadership have lived in the West, they've studied in the West, and there's also been a very positive history of Christian-Muslim interaction.
As you mentioned, there are more than 40 churches operating in this predominantly Muslim nation, right?
Christians constitute 9% of the entire population here. So that's just under 1 million Christians who live, work, and worship in the United Arab Emirates.
An interesting fact about this new facility is that the Dubai's royal family, who I assume are Muslim, donated the land for which you are building now your new facility.
And that came about through a high-level delegation visit from the Church of England. And we were very pleased to receive the gift of land for the Anglican community in Masafa.
Who are the people who come to your church, Reverend?
We have Koreans, we have Chinese, we have Pakistanis, we have hundreds of Indians, we have the Ethiopian Orthodox community, we have, in effect, people from all over the world representing different languages, different Christian traditions, Orthodox, Evangelical, Anglican, Baptist. We are the worldwide church, all put in the same space.
One group of people that you have not mentioned in that list, Reverend, are the natives of the UAE, who are called Emiratis. Are Emiratis allowed to attend your church?
We don't see Emirati Muslims attending worship on a regular basis, but they do come and support the Christian community at special times of the year and for special events.
Reverend Andy Thompson, thank you for joining us on the show this week.
Kids. We want them to grow up knowing God's Word. But in today's busy world, sometimes we could use some help. The free Superbook Kids Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Finally this week, a Virginia church reached out to families in their city who had fallen behind in paying school lunch bills.
As my colleague Mark Martin shows us, the church donated thousands of dollars to get families back on track in tough times.
Times are tough.
And to help in difficult times, Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in Chesapeake, Virginia wanted to give families in the local school district a boost.
It started with a tweet the other day. My wife on her Twitter line saw someone tweet out that it would be a good way of paying forward opportunities to bless other people by paying the delinquent lunch bill of young people in school.
Bishop Kim Brown is senior pastor at the church. He says they thought at first they would pay the delinquent lunch bills at just one school, but their generosity snowballed and they donated more than $4,100 to the district. The money will help dozens of students at nearly 40 schools, every elementary and middle school in the Chesapeake Public School District.
This will literally zero out the balance of every elementary school student and every middle school student in the city of Chesapeake. I hope that there's a single mother out here, that this is one less thing for her to worry about, a single father, or just a family that's down on their luck that can say, hey man, God thought enough of me to be able to put it in somebody's heart to take care of one of my obligations.
Brown told CBN News it's an opportunity to model the love of Christ.
I think the Lord has always put on the heart of the saints here at this church to be community-driven, benevolent, and to display the love of Christ outside the walls of the church.
And he says the blessings continue to unfold, telling CBN News that one church member paid the lunch bills for some students at a school in another city, and he saw on Twitter that a man in another part of Virginia did the same.
You're blessed to be a blessing, so the greatest message is to never ever discount anyone else's situation. If God is prospering you, blessing you, make sure. The world calls it paying forward. I think the kingdom calls it the love of Christ.
Mark Martin, CBN News, Chesapeake, Virginia.
You know, those school lunches were looking pretty good to me. I think I'm hungry.
And a good message.
Yes.
The love of Christ. Well, folks, that is it for this week's edition of Christian World News.
Until next week, from all of us here, goodbye and God bless you.